Morning everybody and welcome to the Murrum Bateman Field Days. My name is Michelle O'Neill and I own a business called Cherry Tree Equine, and in that business I do lots of travelling with clinics, and we do lots of clinics at our home, which is on the Monero, and we do things like virtual lessons where we can actually help people online without coming to us. But today I'm actually going to talk to you about confidence, okay? And I'm going to talk to you about confidence and how you keep your confidence. And as anybody who has ever lost their confidence knows, it's very hard to get it back, okay? In my book, it's a lot easier to keep your confidence than it is to lose it and have to fix it. And the thing is, these days, people are getting really keen about improving their horsemanship, and they're getting really keen about doing things like working with young horses themselves, and that's fantastic. Like, I'm all for that. But what happens, of course, is once we step off those old plodders who are just quiet and know their job, we're exposing ourselves to potential problems. We're exposing ourselves to the fact that, young horses or untrained horses are unpredictable. Things can and will go wrong. And so therefore, we need to be ready for that, and we need to be prepared for that. You might notice I'm not letting this mare stand still. Okay, this mare, she's a performance bred horse. Okay, she's not real keen on doing demos. But you know what? I actually really do trust this mare. I bred her. I've done all the work on her. But the thing is with her, if I asked her to stand still while I talk to all of you right now, I know she's going to get a little tense, and I know that I'm going to have a problem with her. Now, how do I know this horse so well? Well, yeah, like I said, I bred her, but I've spent a lot of time with this mare doing things like groundwork and making sure that she and I have an understanding whereby there's no surprises in our relationship. At the end of the day, the deal that she and I have going on here, it's a relationship, okay? Sometimes it's a good one, sometimes it's not so good. But we have to come to an agreement over our relationship, over how things are going to happen and when things are going to happen. And so I spent a lot of time with this mare. She's a fairly reactive mare. She's pretty sensitive and things upset her pretty easily. So we've spent a lot of time doing groundwork, and I can do stuff on the ground with her. I can do anything. I can throw anything at her. I can, flap her with a plastic bag, walk all around her and crack a stock whip. And she's fine with all of that. So because I've spent that time doing stuff on the ground and doing stuff on the ground correctly, okay, it is really important. A lot of people tend to take their groundwork a little lightly, and they tend to go, oh yeah, I'm just desensitizing my horse to stuff. Well, actually, there's a little bit more than that to it, and it's just like riding your horse. If you got on and rode your horse, you wouldn't ride around, I hope, you wouldn't ride around like this, okay? So when you go and do your groundwork with your horse, why wouldn't you make sure that your body language is correct? This, at the end of the day, is just body language, okay? It's poor riding, but it's poor body language as far as a horse rider goes. And yet I see a lot of people doing groundwork who don't follow through correctly, okay? They tend to take it a little lightly. So, if you're going to do something, in my book, I reckon if you're going to do something, you may as well do it properly. So, we're all busy. Everybody's busy these days. I was talking to a lady yesterday, and she was saying she had a young horse and she was having trouble getting it rode because she's got a family, and she said, I might have 40 minutes, and I know that if I ride that horse and something goes wrong, I don't have time to fix it. And I just said to her, why don't you just go and do groundwork? Go and do one groundwork exercise and do it well, okay? And that's going to make the difference to what happens with your horse later on when you have time to actually go and ride it and go and do stuff with it. So, once you've got that groundwork relationship established, then you can start looking at what you're going to do with your horse under saddle. And, the first thing I do, anytime I get on a horse, the first thing I ask my horses to do is I ask my horse to flex and give to the bridle, okay? Now, there's a performance use for this, okay? Yes, so making sure my horse is light and soft. But when I get on my horses and I do that, that's like my check-in before we go, okay? So if I get on a horse, and one like this one, so if I get on her and I put my hand out here and I ask her to give, and she braces or sticks her head up in the air, or like even before the first time when I did it, when she walked, you know, that tells me that she's not 100% happy in her world. Okay, that tells me we've got a few, like today it's a little different. There's tractor pulls, there's side shows, you know, there's stuff going on. So when she does that and takes a step, that straight away tells me that she's not 100% focused on me. This mare has done that exercise so many times that when I reach my hand down there, she should be already starting to flex and give to me. Okay, so that's my first check-in when I get on a horse. Like I said, what we're doing is working on the things we can do with our horses that are going to build my confidence. And at the end of the day, like I said, this is a relationship. If I am not feeling confident, this is how people look when they get scared. They go to the fetal position, okay? Guess what that tells your horse? That tells your horse that you're scared, okay? So then your horse gets more scared because your horse starts to go, oh, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on? So, you know, if I can be assured that I've done all the groundwork and my horse is soft and responsive, then that puts me in a position to handle my nerves, okay? And the first thing I do when I get on is I do this. I do this with, you know, all my young horses. I'll walk them out into the arena, I'll hop on them, and the first thing I'll do is I'll flex them. It's my first check-in before we go. Now, the thing is with, of course, something like that is that it's building into something else. And everything I do, whether it's on the ground or on the saddle, is usually building up to something else. So, of course, the number one thing that I want to know, and if I happen to get on somebody else's horse, the first thing I will do when I move off is I'll pull them into a one-rein stop. Because I want to know that that horse can do a one-rein stop, okay? Because if everything goes wrong and things get a little out of control, I know I've got my safety brake, okay? I know that if something happens to come unstuck with this mare and I pull her around, she will be okay. I'll give you a classic example. I was out riding one of my buckskin horses the other day. I was moving a mob of cattle and he got a little upset about life and he jumped and leaped through the air, okay? And the first thing I did, his 4 feet hadn't hit the ground and I'd already pulled him around. Okay, so that was my stop, get everything under control and know I'm safe, okay? Now, what you can then do with that is you take it from just the stop. I like to have just the stop. I know some people don't, but I like to know that if I pick up and pull on this rein, I've got to stop, okay? That's my take a deep breath, get everything under control, realise I'm okay before I readdress this situation. You know, it gives you that moment to get the heart rate from 300 a minute to about, 60 a minute, So the next step in being able to do a one-rein stop is to disengage their hindquarters. Now, basic physiology of a horse is that anytime he does something like a buck, a rear, a shy, he has to get those 2 feet on the ground underneath him to push off. So we need to be able to take that power away. And when I'm at clinics, I often demonstrate with people and I'll push on one shoulder or push on 2 shoulders. You go home and do it. Get a mate and get them to brace against you and push on 2 shoulders and they can stop you. But then if you stand there and you just push one shoulder, they can't brace against you and they're going to lean. Okay, so same principle with a horse. Now again, you will have taught your horse this on the ground, okay? Disengaging the hindquarters is a very important exercise to teach a horse on the ground. So if I then pull her into a one-rein stop and then apply my inside leg, I can ask her to step around. Now, when that yellow horse tried to get rid of me the other day, he got to do a lot of this, okay? Because I wanted him to keep moving, okay? He didn't deserve a rest. Okay, he needed to actually work a little harder, and this is the thing. Like when a horse's most valuable commodity is oxygen. Okay, so this horse didn't wake up this morning and go, oh goody, Michelle's taking me to Murrum Bateman Field Days. Okay, she woke up this morning and went, where's my food? Where's my water? Where's my shelter? and she unconsciously started to breathe, or she was already breathing. So you know what? If we start to work these horses to where they have to take a few deep breaths, okay, and they have to listen to us, that's when we can actually get stuff happening. So if you're a bit scared and your horse is, and let's be like, we had a bit of rain yesterday, there's going to be green grass growing soon. If I can get this mare in here and push her hip around, okay, she's using energy. She's using energy. She can't do anything to me. She can't bolt, she can't rear, she can't buck. Okay, but what I'm doing is I'm making her work, and you guys can see she's puffing a little just from that bit of exercise, and this is a mare in full work. So, you know, you have to use some of these things to your advantage, okay? You can't just sit back on these animals on a wing and a prayer and hope that everything is going to be okay. I've tried it, okay? I've got the scars in my arms to prove it doesn't always work, you know? It's amazing, and you know, you hear me say this a lot. You hear a lot of people say this. You know, it's amazing how as you get older, you get wiser about making sure that you're safe. Okay, we don't bounce so good anymore, do we, Karen? So, you know, why not have all this stuff put in place in a controlled and protected environment? Like, you know, if I was at home and this is my arena and she was a young horse, I'd be working on all of this stuff. Even with my competition horses, I'd be working with all of this stuff so that if things do go wrong in my travels, if things do go wrong here at a demo, you know, I've got things stored away in their memory banks that are going to keep me safe. If they're going to keep me safe, they're going to keep her happy. Because remember, we have a little contract going on here that says, I will not scare you, I will not be unfair to you, okay? But it also says that you will have to respond to how I want, okay? Now, you guys just saw that little mare wanted to trot off a little bit. You know, in my clinics, I see a lot of horses that want to rush, okay? Now, there's a really, like, a lot, and of course, you know, I've just been talking about one-rein stops. If you have a horse that rushes, okay, I'd be a little, like, I'm not so keen to do a one-rein stop. So let's say I want to walk along on a loose rein, this mare jogs off. I'm going to pull her into a circle. Now, look where I am. This is why I love circles, okay? If you come to one of my clinics, you'll find out how much I love circles. Okay, so, you know, look at this. She's in a circle here. She's slowed down. I didn't have to yank and pull on her head and scare her. So, like, you know, if you're riding along and you're a bit scared and you pull on the horse's head and they stick there, she's probably not going to do it. They, you know, you go like yank and your horse comes up in the air like that, suddenly you go, oh, and they go, oh, and, you know, we're getting into that cycle where things are a little out of control. So, you know, here we go. She wants to jog off again. Pull her into a circle. Now, I've got her under control. She's working, okay? But if she gets really scary, all I have to do is this, and I've got her in a one-rein stop, okay? But circles are your friend, okay? Anytime you have a horse that wants to rush off,